Good afternoon, Oak Grove. Happy Thursday. Welcome to this week's installment of our Midweek Update series here on the church's YouTube channel, where I just populate into your devices in the middle of the week to say hi and keep the church on our mind for the other days of the week that we're outside of worship, because that is so important for us to do. So thanks for taking a few minutes to hang out with me here today. What are we going to talk about? I'm just going to start with a brief announcement about VBS. We had a VBS planning meeting this past Monday night, and we compiled a list of all of the food and supplies, mostly food, that we are looking to collect for VBS. We will have a sign-up sheet placed in the sanctuary on Sunday morning so that anybody who would like to donate any food or supplies for VBS may do that. Excuse me. We will have that list out there so you can sign up. But I also asked Carla to attach the list to her weekly email blast, which she sent out today with the bulletin and the announcements for the week. So you can take a look at that email and get an idea of what is needed. And then you could even start shopping as you do your weekend shopping this week. Before you come in to sign up, you'll have an idea of what we need. So that is out there. So just calling that to your attention, that's out there. Excuse me. And so I wanted to announce that briefly. What else are we going to talk about today? I don't have anything earth-shattering going on that I need to update you about. I will just give you updates on Oak Grove's current prayer intentions, that the prayers of our hearts, by and large, for the last few weeks, have been with Gary Steeb and with Tom Applequist. I saw both of them this week, and honestly, they look like they're doing well to me. Gary is back home, and he's looking pretty much the same as he did before he went into the hospital. Pam thanks you very much for your prayers and support, and she said that she no longer needs any home care assistance. So I got that message too late to take it out of the announcements for this week, but we'll put it in there for next week. She doesn't need any home care anymore, so that is good. And I saw Tom, and Tom is officially still in hospice care, as he has been for weeks, but boy, I'll tell you what, he looks good. He looks like he's more energetic and feeling better than he has since he went in there. Prayers that possibly maybe a path is open for him to be upgraded out of hospice care, possibly, but we don't know that. We don't know that that's a possibility, so I don't want to give anybody false hope there. But Tom was doing well. He was in no pain, and he was feeling energetic and good, and we had a good, lucid conversation. He can talk to you. He looks worlds better than when he went in there. So for however much time Tom has with us, your prayers are definitely helping to heal him, Oak Grove. And I remind him of that every time I see him. So keep it up. Keep up praying for him. And lastly, I don't have a whole lot for you today, but I usually like to read a little bit to you, something devotional. Whenever I don't have any other material that I want to go over for the day, then I usually go to the daily lectionary and I take a look at some of the texts that are appointed for today. As I've mentioned before, the Revised Common Lectionary has readings appointed for every day, not just Sunday morning. And today, I'm just going to read a couple excerpts. There's numerous readings suggested for today. One of them is Psalm 52. And I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm just going to read the first few verses when King David writes, "Why do you boast, O mighty one, of mischief done against the godly? All day long you are plotting destruction. Your tongue is like a sharp razor. You a worker of treachery. You love evil more than good, and lying more than speaking the truth. You love all words that devour, O deceitful tongue." He reminds me very much of the Epistle of St. James, because, of course, James speaks to us in the same way about how the tongue is an instrument of the devil. It is a rudder of sin. It is a tongue of fire. It is capable of burning with our words. And then the next reading that's appointed on the daily lectionary also is from the book of Amos. And this is from Amos chapter 5. And once again, I'm just going to read to you the first few verses. "They hate the one who reproves in the gate, and they abhor the one who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample on the poor and take from them levies of grain, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you shall not live in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but you shall not drink their wine. For I know how many are your transgressions and how great are your sins, you who afflict the righteous, who take a bribe, and push aside the needy in the gate. Therefore the prudent will keep silent in such a time, for it is an evil time. And so, the one final reading, too, that I want to conclude with, we are going to hear from this on Sunday morning. The daily lectionary sometimes repeats those. We will hear from Psalm 15, which speaks somewhat more positively. Those two were pretty grim. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? Those who walk blamelessly and do what is right and speak the truth from their heart, who do not slander with their tongue and do no evil to their friends, nor heap shame upon their neighbors. So the reason that I read those verses today is that I cannot help but look at them and remind myself, as well as we all do need to be reminded, of the Small Catechism's words where Luther reminds us of the need to speak positively of our neighbor and put the best construction on everything. That is Luther's explanation of the commandment when we are told not to bear false witness against our neighbor. And Martin Luther, of course, likes to take all of the commandments and flip them around, where you don't just have the negative prohibition, what are you told not to do, but he likes to also give you the positive, what shall I do? And so, for example, when the commandment tells us thou shalt not kill, well, you don't just pat yourself on the back saying, well, I haven't committed murder today, so I guess I've followed the commandment. No. The commandment also is interpreted to say the spirit of murder begins in your heart. So what have I done to help sustain and support others today? Well, similarly, when Luther explains the commandment not to bear false witness against our neighbor, the positive upside of that, with the what shall I do of that, is how am I going to build up those around me? And how am I going to use my words for good and not for evil? And I don't think I need to explain why we need to say this today. We live in a day and age now where misinformation is everywhere, where lies and deceit have been normalized everywhere. And what's interesting is, now, of course, as soon as I say this, immediately our thoughts go to the political and ideological sphere. And yes, I am including that, although I am not limiting my example only to that. But we live in a day and age where we make up whatever construction on our neighbor that we want to make up. And you know what? Actually, that's not new. People have been doing that for thousands of years of human history. History is written by the winners, right? The conquerors, those that are conquered, rather, they have a different view on who was the good guy and who was the bad guy in any given conflict. All throughout human history, people have basically been making up the narrative about their neighbor that they wanted. But the problem is, in a day and age of social media, we can then disseminate that image of our neighbor so much more easily than we could in the past. And then other people read it and run with it as gospel without fact-checking any of it, and use that to continue to reinforce patterns of hatred and misinformation about others, including those we disagree with. And so the interesting thing is, we bring that, I mentioned that, and the very first thing we think of is the social political sphere. Well, I'm not just talking about politics. I'm also talking about interpersonal relationships one with another. However, the political sphere is a part of it as well, yes. And so what's interesting is that people on both sides of the ideological divide immediately assume that I'm talking about the people on the other side. However, the people on the other side would also accuse the side that we're on of not entirely reporting the full truth, but painting the picture that we want to paint by selectively choosing to report on this and not that. That does go both ways. And it's easy for us to see the way that applies to the side that we already agree with, but we don't always see the fact that the other side accuses us of doing the same thing. Now, I'm not going to get any more political than that, other than to make that observation. But this also extends to our interpersonal relationships as well. We build a narrative about a certain person in our life, a certain coworker we don't like, that we start spreading misinformation, incomplete information, or straight up lies and deception about that person, that neighbor, that coworker that we don't like. to try to rally others on our side to hate them. And before long, that person has been typecast, and it may have never been rooted in the slightest bit in reality. Or maybe, like all lies, it had some root of truth in something that happened once, but we run with it as though that person isn't reliable because they let me down one time, or something like that. When in reality, it was the one time. But it hurt us so badly that we went and told others this person is unreliable, and now before you know it, they've become typecast and gained a reputation that is totally unfounded. And so, all of that is to say, it is very easy to just start making stuff up. We learned to do it on the playground when we were little kids. And once again, human beings have been doing it all throughout history. But these days, when social media makes it easy to disseminate what we have to say about others in such a way that hundreds or thousands see it within hours of our saying it, that's a problem. What is the solution? There is no easy magic solution, sisters and brothers, other than for all of us who are followers of Jesus, myself included, to continually remind ourselves, what did Luther say? What is the positive construction of the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor? We are to speak well of our neighbor, we're to assume the best about them, and try to put the best construction on everything. And so let's double check our words. Let's fact check the things that we share. Let's analyze our own biases and try to judge, when I speak ill of somebody else, am I being completely fair? Am I being totally honest about the whole truth about this person? Or am I just sharing what I want to share to try to rally others to agree with me? Oh yeah, that guy's evil. We should hate him. Because it's oh so easy to dehumanize people once we do that. That's what I'm going to share from the lectionary today, sisters and brothers. That's my devotion for you. That is just a reminder for us all to bear in mind. Once again, please see your email for info about what is needed at VBS this year and put some thought into what you might be able to donate. I will see you all for worship on Sunday morning. Take care and God bless. Have a wonderful week.